Our daily Bible reading today comes from the books of Obadiah and Jonah. So these two prophets and their writings. And our daily devotional today here at Carrollton Christian Fellowship comes from the beginning and first half of the book of Obadiah. And so Obadiah's prophecies. And with these, we don't see too much about who Obadiah was and who he is. The only point in time that we see anything about sort of even a time marker in Obadiah's prophecy, we see in Obadiah chapter 1, verses 10 through 14, where it talks about the attack against Jerusalem. And so outside of this, we don't see much of a timeline and a perspective of who exactly Obadiah was. There are, within the Old Testament, there are 13 Obadiahs who are mentioned. Some of these who are mentioned, really great and awesome individuals in obedience to the Lord. One of the Obadiahs that this could have been, again, we do not know, but one that it could have been was an officer of King Ahab's court there in Israel. And this Obadiah, he hid the prophets of God in a cave. And so we see that in 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 3. Then we see another Obadiah that this could be, but we do not know, was an Obadiah who was sent by King Jehoshaphat of Judah to teach the law in Judah. And we see this in 2 Chronicles chapter 17, verse 7. Another Obadiah that this could be, but again, we do not know, was an Obadiah who helped repair the temple in the days of Joash. And we saw this in 2 Chronicles chapter 34, verse 12. And we remember that from our reading back in Chronicles. And also there was an Obadiah during the time of Nehemiah. We saw in Nehemiah chapter 10, verse 5. So we don't know exactly who this was. We don't know exactly when this was written. We don't know. The only time marker we see is that time marker from verses 10 through 14. And so that attack against Jerusalem. Now with Obadiah's prophecies, we see that verses 1 through 9, they correlate and they parallel exactly with Jeremiah chapter 49, verses 7 through 22. And this suggests to many that it is likely that when Jeremiah was going through and giving his prophecies there in chapter 49, it's believed that Jeremiah may have had Obadiah's prophecies in mind or in his hands, possibly, perhaps. Now, with our devotional, verses 1 through 14, we see that in verses 1 through 4, we see that Obadiah here, he is announcing judgment upon Edom. So Edomites, these were the descendants of Esau. So if we remember Jacob and Esau, so the two brothers, Esau, who had given up his birthright because of the desire for his flesh. And so in verses 1 through 4, Obadiah here announces God's judgment against Edom and their pride. The Edomites were an excessively and abundantly prideful people and nation. Then we see in verses 5 through 9, God's judgment against Edom will be complete. It'll be complete. It will bring about and it will do exactly what God calls it to do. And then we see in verses 10 through 14, we see why judgment is coming against Edom and the Edomites. And so I hope this can be a great encouragement to us, a great encouragement that no matter who we are, where we are in God's history and in God's doing of things, in God's work, that we will be obedient. Just like we don't know exactly which Obadiah this was, but we do see countless time and time again the faithfulness of who this individual was. This individual was faithful to the calling which the Lord had placed on his life in spite of the times around him, the nation around him, and also the foreign powers that were around him. And so I hope this again will be a good encouragement to us, a good encouragement to turn to the Lord, and to forsake our pride, and that we put our trust and our faith in the Lord. And we do not trust in our abilities to save ourselves, nor our abilities to set ourselves apart from the sin in our life. But we trust in the Lord and His power and His desire to set us apart. So again, I hope this will be a great encouragement for us, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So take care. Have a blessed one.